Does old trauma keep resurfacing? Has the pain from the past keep coming up over and over again? The thing is, we heal in layers, in stages. We heal at the level that we have strength to heal. Our trauma is so big that we have to break it up. But understand this, once we face it again and again, it will eventually release for good. My name is Angela Cleary. I'm a feminine empowerment coach. I specialise in healing after narcissistic abuse, and I also offer twin flame and spiritual guidance. This is the thing, we can get very frustrated when we're on the healing journey. Initially, we battle. We love battling. We're like, bury it. If I can't see it, it's not real. But this is actually detrimental, and we have to actually face our trauma, face our pain in order to release it for good. But the thing is, the bigger the pain, the longer it's going to take, but it all depends on your readiness to heal it. So we heal in stages, heal in layers. And I didn't realize this for a long time. You know what I mean? Like I'd be after healing something, and it would come back up, and I get so fucking angry. I'd be like, "Jeez, I'm not doing this again. I'm not feeling it again. I don't want to go through it again." But then I realized it was because it wasn't fully healed. When we initially go through a trauma or pain, or if we first say resurface it, if it's a very old one, it's going to be big, and because it's so big, we have to break it down. You know, we're in this vulnerable, less strong mode, right? And when we face it head on, it can be it's difficult. It's very difficult. So if we were to actually try and heal all of it all at once, we wouldn't be able. It would actually be it would be even more traumatizing than what we experienced, almost as traumatizing as what we actually did when we experienced it. Because unfortunately, for me and for what I believe anyway, we have to understand what we're healing in order to release it. You know what I mean? I can go through triggers, I can go through emotions, they're my guides. But I have to ask myself, why am I triggered? Where is this pain coming from? And it's actually, you know, I could be going through deep healing for a few weeks, and I could understand the wound. I could understand that it's my unworthiness wound, for example. That's a big one. And, you know, I can understand that I can be healing the things around it. But the healing kind of goes on a little bit long because I haven't understood where it actually surfaced. Where did it actually pinpoint? You know what I mean? So like initially, say for my inner child wounding, you know, I can pinpoint it to an exact moment in my childhood. And when I face that again, I can actually release it. But if I don't actually go dig deep and find that root, I'm not going to understand how to release it fully. And, you know, I can be doing the surface healing for a long time, but unless I go deep, I'm not going to be able to fully let go. So this is it. And then, you know, what I found over the last few years anyway, when I discovered that I heal in layers, because, you know, I went through another narcissistic dynamic back in 2023, between 21 and 23. And when I came out of that, I was in a really, really bad state, and I was going deep diving into my inner child healing. I knew that's what I needed to do. And I had to, you know, I had to face that trauma. I had to understand why it happened, and I had to release that part. But initially, my first stage of healing is distraction. And I think we all do that. We have to numb. Because we're in this very weak, this vulnerable state, this traumatized state, that we can't face it. We're not able to face it straight away. It's scary. It's like, oh my God, I'm in so much pain. I had to do this. I had to make a hard decision to walk away from family or whatever it was. Had to make a hard decision to walk away from a relationship, whatever pain you're going through. And, you know, initially it's like, make yourself feel better. Watch some movies, you know, go for those walks, cuddle with your pets on the couch. These kind of things just to numb the pain, just to literally gain your strength again. And then, you know, you're feeling better. And like oftentimes if we're not aware of our healing, we're going to be like, woo, I'm fucking fine now. I'm grand, not a bother, move on with my life. And like, you know, you're on this kind of a little bit of a high because you've gotten over that, the hardest stage. And then a couple of weeks or a couple of months later, bang, it hits you in the face all over again. And you're like, oh my God, why is this happening? You know, I healed this, go away. But you didn't actually heal it. You just distracted from it so that you could gain strength to heal it. And that's the thing. And then you're at the next layer, which is facing it head on. And you actually heal the next little bit of it. And you gain more strength. And then you're fine again. And you're like in fucking happy land going, yes, yay, I did it. I'm strong now. I'm getting on with my life. And then bang, it comes back again. And you're like, oh, not again. And like, this happened to me a few times. Like wasn't aware of healing in layers until that healing I went through after 2023, because I was more aware of my healing then, but I was really, really properly, you know, intensely doing this because I'd lost myself so completely. And I was like, I'm not going to lose myself anymore. I have to regain my strength. I have to find my purpose. And that's what I did. So I was really intensely healing, but I was really aware of my stages of healing. And as I said, every single time it came back up, I was getting angry. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't want to feel it again. I don't want to feel it again. But now I realize that every time I actually healed a little bit, it was only a little bit. And every time I healed a little bit, I gained more strength. So the next time, even though I was kind of avoiding, I literally said, okay, I'm stronger now, so I'm able to face it better. So it's literally healing in sections. And then the final release comes. And that's the most amazing thing, because you actually know then it's not going to come back again. And what I've noticed as well, because we do heal in layers, and because we do distract, and because we do ignore, and because we do bottle, it's like, hide that shit, we don't need to see it. It is actually detrimental. And like I've noticed, especially over the last year, a lot of pain. Like it was my 10-year anniversary of one of my biggest traumas, and I had to re-heal that. Now, don't get me wrong, I've been healing that over the last 10 years, but it was up for final release. And what the hardest part really is as well, the final release is the biggest one, as far as I'm concerned anyway. You know, all the little steps are getting, what it is like every step gets bigger. Do you know what I mean? So the first step is tiny, the next step is just a little bit bigger, and then it keeps going up and up and up. And I think final release is the biggest step, but we're the strongest because of each, I suppose, growth spurt. Every time we've done that little bit of healing and gone through each step, the last step, it might be the biggest, but you're the strongest. And it goes quicker. And I found this, like, you know, and what I find with the last step as well, the last step will bring up other stuff as well. Boo! You know, this massive fucking, this kind of avalanche of emotions. And I'm not really painting a good picture here. But what I'm trying to say is, like, what I mean is, even though the last release might be the hardest, it's the final release. You know, we're creatures of bottling, right? And as I mentioned this pressure cooker before, if you leave the lid on the pressure cooker, you know what I mean? It's going to fucking explode. Or if you overfill a box and try and put the lid on it, it's not going to fucking work. You're like a volcano ready to erupt. Or the heavy backpack analogy. You know, you're literally putting everything into this backpack and you're just not releasing it. And it's just going to get heavier and heavier and heavier. You need to take those rocks out and you need to face them. And this is the thing, when we bottle things up, whether it's emotions, anger, trauma, pain, whatever it is, it's detrimental to our physical and mental health. It's going to come out in volatile ways. We're going to end up distracting by overworking, doing things that aren't good for us, like drinking or taking drugs. You know, doing things that we don't actually want to do, just as a form of distraction. When we don't face our shit head on, we're literally just... it's a recipe for disaster. And I've mentioned this before. When I didn't do proper healing or communication when I was in my late teens, I stopped speaking to my friends about my problems. And once a month, and obviously it was a mixture of PMS mixed with excessive alcohol consumption, mixed with bottling all my feelings up, I used to fucking explode. I used to get angry, I used to get violent, I used to kick down doors. It was just crazy, 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 Angela. And like, you know, I am quite a calm person. Do you know what I mean? And like, you know, literally once a month, because I wasn't facing my trauma, I would explode. And now I'm so aware of my trauma and so aware of my pain. Yes, I get triggers, and those triggers are my guides, but I don't explode. I don't need external substances. I don't need anything, to numb myself, because I'm ready to face it head on. And we gain strength every layer we go through. We gain strength every time we face something. And, it is difficult, but I find the more I am aware, the more I face it, the easier it becomes. You know what I mean? Like, I know that I have something to come up if I get extra emotional. You know what I mean? I could watch something that I've watched 10 million times, and I could have maybe only cried a couple of times at it. And then if I'm going through a healing cycle, I'm going to bawl my eyes out. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to release this. And then I end up finding stuff buried underneath the stuff that I had buried. Like really deep shit, like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh my God, how long has this shit been here? And it's such a weight lifted. It's such a fucking relief to get this shit out. And one of the biggest things we do is distract ourselves, and, we avoid our healing. We're always, for me, especially before I became aware of healing, I hated silence. Fucking hated it. I needed to have music on all the time, the radio on all the time, or I had to be around people all the time. You know what I mean? And as I started actually healing, it was funny because there was times I forgot to turn on the radio, and I'd be like, shit, I'd be running to the radio and then going, fucking turn on the radio. And I'd be like, Jesus, I have spent a whole 10 minutes in silence. Do you know what I mean? And now I fucking love silence, because that's where we're going to find the answers. And now I won't say I love doing my deep healing cycles. I really fucking don't. No one does. But I love when I get to the root. Because, like, I was going through a massive healing cycle for the last week. And, it was, I knew the wound. I knew what I was healing. I was doing all the stuff to heal it. But it wouldn't go away, in a sense. And mine doesn't go away until I find the root. And then Sunday I was doing my Kundalini yoga, and I found the fucking root. I was like, yes, thank fuck. And even though I still have stuff to heal, I'm still going through it. The minute I find the root, I'm like, thank fuck, I can actually get rid of this shit. So, even though we're going through this stage or whatever, we're kind of like, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. The feeling you get when you release something for the final time, after doing all those layers, after facing it head on every single time, it's so empowering. It's so amazing, and it's like anything really. When we avoid doing something, when we let fear and procrastination get in the way, we actually prolong our anxiety. Whereas if we do the thing straight away, the anxiety isn't there because there's no time for it. And the trepidation goes away quicker. We rip the Band-Aid off, and the thing we're doing is done. It's over. Whereas, like, when we spend, and this is it, I spend my whole life literally going, I don't want to think. I don't want to be alone with my thoughts. I'm going to drink myself into oblivion so that I don't have to face my trauma. And obviously at the time I wasn't aware that's what I was doing. You're not aware. If you're drinking yourself into oblivion, you're not aware why you're drinking yourself into oblivion. You're just doing it. And it's only when you're out the other side that you look back and you go, oh my God, I really just didn't want to think. I really just didn't want to face my trauma. I really just didn't want to be alone with my thoughts. And it was looking back, my life was more painful when I avoided it than it was to face it. And I know that sounds weird, because don't get me wrong, it is fucking hard to face your healing. It's hard it is hard. But my life up until I started healing was fucking rotten. It was horrible. It was absolutely, I was drinking. I was in the wrong relationships. I was unaware of my surroundings, of my inner being either. I was just unaware of what I was doing. I was literally, I was effectively driving myself into an early grave. I was eating unhealthy. I was so unfit, and I was drinking so much. It was just such an unawareness of myself and what was going on. And, like, as I said, I was afraid of silence as well. But then when I actually face the silence, oh my God, I love silence now. It's beautiful. Do you know what I mean? And I need that. Like, you know, there'd be times like if I'm going through a deep healing cycle and I listen to the music to try and keep myself happy and distract, that does not work because it makes me angry. And it's just like, turn off the fucking music for 5 minutes even and just literally ask yourself why you're so fucking angry. And then you ask yourself and you actually can heal it. So be aware of this, that like every time something resurfaces, it's not because, you know, we can be hard on ourselves. And I found that with myself as well. When it resurfaced, I was like so angry for the pain still being there. So angry to have to reface it. And, you know, I bottle it. That's why, you know, our healing journey can be longer. It's because literally it's like it comes back up and you're like, fuck off, I'm not doing this again. And you're all fucking, like a fucking tantrum, fucking toddler kind of energy. Going, I'm fucking not doing it again. No. And then when you're aware that you heal in layers, it's like, hello, you're coming back because I need to heal the next stage. And it's easier. And then you rip the Band-Aid off and then you're grand. You're fine. You know what I mean? Until the next stage. But you're stronger for the next stage. Keep remembering this. Every time you go through a layer, you gain more strength. So you're not the same person you were underneath the first layer, the second layer, or the third layer. You're not the same person. Every time you evolve into a better version of yourself because you're shedding some of that wounding. And like that's beautiful. No matter how big your wound is, even after the first layer, you feel that little bit lighter. After the second layer, you feel lighter and stronger. After the third layer, you know you've got this shit. So however many layers is left, every time you're saying to yourself, I got through it last time, I can get through it now because I'm more aware now, I'm stronger now, and I'm lighter now. So, you know, when the final release, and I love the final release, I do. Even though the final release is the biggest and you're like really going through the depths of a dark night of the soul and you're screaming out all this pain, it's like, yes, I know when I get out of this, it's going to be amazing. And it really is. And I've had I don't know how many I've had over the last year, final releases, but they have been final ones. And it's just a breath of fresh air. It's like, oh my God, you know, like, I'm actually thinking about this now. I've had so many final releases over the last year, so I've actually had the biggest layer of each trauma over the last year. And I feel better because of it. Even though it was the hardest, it was also the easiest. I know that sounds really weird. I'm contradicting myself, but that's it. It's an oxymoron. Like, it's literally, it is, but it isn't. You know what I mean? It's like, because I was the strongest for each final layer, I was able to handle it better. And yes, it was really fucking painful. But when you come out of that final release, oh my God, it's lovely, it's so good. And, you know, and that's why, and you're kind of begging for that final release then. You're like, you know, give me all the final releases so that I can be cleared of all this pain. So accept each time that your trauma comes back up because it's here for the next layer. You know what I mean? You're not doing it wrong, or, you know, don't be hard on yourself. This is actually supposed to happen. Understand that. It just comes in stages, and look at yourself. Every stage makes you stronger. Every layer, you're a more transformed version of yourself. You know, because you've released it. And like, you know, it's so amazing. And if you quickly go through these layers, you get to the final layer, the final release, and you're free from it. Like, that's amazing. Instead of spending 30 odd years of your life literally bottling this shit up, literally, and it's toxic. It's toxic. This trauma is toxic. So having a toxic substance in your body is going to fucking eventually fucking kill you. The stress of it, like. So being able to actually release 30 plus years of trauma plus your past life trauma is the most beautiful experience you'll ever go through, no matter how hard it is. So trust the process, trust that you're healing in layers, and trust that you're stronger every single time. So thank you so much for listening today, and I really hope this resonates. If it does, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel so I can reach as many people as possible. And if you'd like help on your journey, please book me for a discovery call today, and I'd love nothing more than to help you on your path.